You ever have someone try to buy your life out from under you like it's a used car? That's how it started. 40 grand cash for my grandfather's lake cabin. That's what Samuel White offered right there on my porch, like he was haggling over a set of golf clubs at a yard sale. Not asking, demanding. And the moment I said no, his mom, Sandra, snapped into action, calling the cops and lying through her teeth. "Officer, this man just threatened my son." She said it so easy you'd think she'd been practicing in front of a mirror. She had no idea she'd just declared war on the wrong family. Let me back up a sec. Some bloodlines run deeper than any background check can tell you. See, my grandfather, Papa Reed, spent 32 years with the FBI, never took a sick day until cancer finally dragged him down. That cabin by the lake was his sanctuary, our place, every summer growing up, the one spot in the world that always felt safe. When he died and left it to me, I thought maybe I could use a little sanctuary myself, 3 months of stress leave from my own FBI work prescription bottles that rattled like maracas and nightmares I couldn't shake. Figured I'd have some peace. Yeah, right. 2 days in this kid. Samuel, 26 muscles and expensive jeans, struts up on my porch. No knock, just sticks his head in the door. Yo, government boy. You know that tone. Entitled cocky like he's seen too many gangster movies. He had 2 goons behind him, hands in pockets just close enough to look threatening, far enough away to claim innocence. "Heard you inherited Grandpa's shack," he said, tracking mud across floors my grandfather refinished with his own hands. "Perfect timing. I need private property for a business venture. 45,000 cash. That's generous for this lakeside dump." I told him it wasn't for sale, kept my voice level, thinking that was that. But you could see the wheels turning in his head, wrong answer, like I'd just denied him something he was sure he'd already won. "You got 24 hours to reconsider," he snapped, "and then get this." He winked at me. An hour later, here comes Sandra. Clipboard, fake smile, the whole community representative act. She had that middle-aged authority vibe that makes retail workers quit and waitresses cry in the freezer. She hands me a stack of legal-looking papers, if you didn't look too close. Oak Ridge Estates, HOA boundary expansion compliance, or 200 a day fines. I actually laughed. "Ma'am, this cabin isn't part of your HOA. She didn't blink. "Actually, it is. Boundary expansion approved by the city council." She was so confident you'd think she wrote the laws herself. Called city council. 3 transfers. 20 minutes of hold music. Turns out there'd been no HOA expansion, no fines, nothing. My property predates the whole HOA by 15 years. Sandra wasn't just wrong, she was document waving, clipboard tapping, proven wrong. That didn't slow her down one bit. By that night, Samuel's campaign started, trucks blocking my driveway, loud music cars circling the cabin, honking every 5 minutes. 8 o'clock. Sandra calls the police. Government worker threatening my son. Officer Morgan rolls up, tired eyes. Notepad ready, hoping to be gone in 5 minutes. I explained what really happened. Kid tried to buy my place. I said no, that's it. Morgan took it all and no signs of trouble. That's when Sandra pops out of the shadows. "He's lying. He used federal training to scare my baby." Samuel put on a show, hands trembling, eyes darting. If they gave Oscars for neighborhood drama, he'd be a shoo-in. By midnight, Sandra had called the police 3 times, and Samuel's crew kept the intimidation parade going. I did what any burned-out Fed would do, dug into their backgrounds online. What I found, well, my blood ran cold. Sandra had run this same scam in Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, always moving into nice neighborhoods, targeting government workers, cranking up pressure, forcing sales, then vanishing. Every victim isolated everyone out within 6 weeks. This wasn't a neighbor dispute. This was professional, systematic predation. By dawn, I'd had 3 phone calls, postal worker in Colorado, park ranger in Nevada, tax assessor in Arizona, all victims of Sandra's operation. Same timeline, same tactics, same results. "She turned the whole community against us," the park ranger said. My kids were bullied at school. The tax assessor lost his job, his house, his faith in people. Every target was isolated. Single parents, widows, newcomers. Sandra knew how to spot weakness and exploit it. Day 3. Sandra escalated calls to the police every 2 hours. Surveillance of children when I checked my mail. Weapons concerns when I carried groceries. Threatening behavior when I mowed the lawn. She built a paper trail of nonsense complaints enough to make me look like the problem. Day 4, she started mailing fake HOA violations, noise complaints, when it was dead silent citations for improper landscaping when my lawn looked like a golf course. Everything looked official enough to fool people who didn't have time to check the details. I overheard Samuel arguing with his mom. My debts are due in 5 months. Stop playing games. Suddenly it clicked. This wasn't just greed, it was desperation. Sandra turned the community into an angry mob. The federal agent is spying on us. She'd cry, showing photos of me washing my car or checking mail like it was proof I was building a case. Fear spread. People stopped making eye contact. Officer Morgan, on his 4th visit that week, finally asked, "Sir, what exactly is your federal job?" I kept it vague, but he was starting to see this wasn't just a neighbor squabble. Then Sandra made a move that tipped her hand, approached me at the dock, fake sweet, calling me by my first name, letting me know she dug deep. "I know you're FBI, and I know you're on stress leave. You have no authority here." She'd done her homework up to a point. What she missed was that feds don't work alone. We have networks, families, backup. By week's end, the harassment was 24/7. Dead fish in my mailbox windows, cracked by accidents, driveway blocked. Neighbors started crossing the street to avoid me, feds not welcome notes under my door. But she'd missed the biggest blind spot, my family. After 2 weeks of this, I called my dad, Papa Reed, the retired FBI legend. "Dad, I'm dealing with professionals here, systematic, interstate, financially motivated." He was calm, analytical. "This is federal case territory." Sandra's research hadn't turned up the fact that my father's reputation still carried weight across agencies, across states. When she tried to look him up and realized who he was, did she back down? Nope. 2 government workers are easier targets than one, she crowed to Samuel loud enough for the block to hear. Overconfidence is a hell of a drug. Papa showed up the next day. Sandra tried to chase him off. "Who are you, Brandon's father?" She called the cops again, number 28. Officer Morgan, exasperated, asked, "Ma'am, what exactly is illegal about a father visiting his son?" That night, Sandra tried calling FBI headquarters to report us for harassment. The operator put her on hold, transferred her, and the next voice she heard was someone who recognized Papa's name immediately. When my sister Sarah, a real ATF agent, showed up, Sandra lost it. FBI family taking over the neighborhood. Her 29th call to the police. Officer Morgan looked ready to retire on the spot. "How many federal agents live in this cabin?" he muttered. Sarah smiled. "Just visiting, family officer. Is there a law against that?" Sandra doubled down, called a neighborhood meeting, made a PowerPoint about federal invasion. Photos, license plates, wild claims about government overreach. Samuel's desperation reached a fever pitch. "Mom, these loan sharks don't care about federal agents," he yelled. "They want money, or I'm dead." The pressure on him was like a powder keg. Papa made some calls. Within hours, federal agencies were connecting the dots: interstate harassment, systematic fraud targeting government workers. My sister summarized it, "Brandon, this is federal jurisdiction, not a neighborhood dispute." As the investigation ramped up, the neighborhood fractured, some siding with Sandra, some quietly apologizing for believing her, a few finally offering help. Sandra did a local news interview declaring herself a victim, the government stealing property, fighting for her constitutional rights. Meanwhile, Samuel cracked, grabbing a baseball bat, threatening violence. Papa didn't flinch, restrained him with a move that was probably classified. Sandra screeched about kidnapping. Officer Morgan explained federal law, and the next call went out to the FBI. Federal response was immediate: zip ties, evidence, formal charges. Samuel, faced with real consequences, spilled everything: how they chose victims, manipulated communities, laundered money. 4 states, 7 victims, over $400,000 stolen. In court, Sandra represented herself, spouting constitutional nonsense that made the judge's jaw clench. The real pain came during victim impact: families destroyed, careers lost, kids traumatized. The judge dropped the hammer: 8 years for Sandra, massive restitution, 5 years supervised release. Samuel got 4 years, but his testimony helped put an end to the nightmare. Sandra's supporters slunk away. Some moved out, property values rose. The HOA got new leadership, my career got vindicated, my stress leave ended with a commendation, not a question mark. The federal task force used our case as a model: new laws, new protections for government families, real justice for those who serve. And the craziest twist, Sandra's deep-seated rage against government workers, it wasn't just about money. She'd been married to a federal prosecutor, dumped for stealing, and she'd been waging a personal war ever since. That's why she targeted us, why she wouldn't quit. 3 years on the cabin, still our sanctuary in HQ for keeping predators like Sandra in check. Samuel's out volunteering with victim services, teaching what real consequences mean. Sandra's still in prison filing appeals. Nobody reads her legend growing for all the wrong reasons. The neighborhood? Well, they learned a hard lesson. Sometimes the people you try to push out are the ones holding the line for everyone else. So what did we learn? Maybe nothing. Or maybe that sometimes justice shows up with a badge, a family, and a backbone. Ever dealt with an HOA bully or a neighborhood tyrant? Drop your stories below, tag someone who needs to hear it, and hit that like button if you think federal justice stories ought to be told. I'll see you next time, maybe with a new cup of coffee, maybe with another Karen who doesn't know when to quit. Wasn't that a ride?